Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. Thanks for coming by, hanging out with me for a little bit. I appreciate it. Uh, what am I making today? Well, today I got to make a small child elevation platform for kitchen use. What does that mean? It's a great question. That means I got to make a stool for my grandkids because they want to help when they're visiting in the kitchen while we're making stuff. And so I need something safe for them to stand on so they can get to the countertop. Uh, It's a really simple build. I'm not using any fancy mystic joinery. This thing has to be solid. I'm going to screw it and glue it. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to not have screw heads showing because that would be ugly. I mean, I got some, dignity after all. But I went ahead and glued up what I believe to be the pieces that I need for this. So we're just going to dive in and start. I have some handmade drawings that I understand nobody else has to, and that's good enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive in. Okay, so my top is supposed to be 8 by 10. It is currently not, uh, obviously. But this is a glued up seam. What I've done so far after getting these out is I just ran them real quick through the planer just to get the unevenness out of it. Make it easier to, instead of sanding all that off. What a nightmare. So I want it to be even from side to side from the glue joint. So what I'm going to do, in my case, is going to be 1 1/8 inches on either side. That'll give me 10 inches, and it'll be even. You know what I'm saying? I gotta find my safety glasses. So the reason I'm building this is because we had another wooden stool that someone, step stool, platform, whatever you want to call it, that somebody else made for us. And the problem that I had with that one was that the top overhung. It stuck out over the legs. That's what I'm trying to say. And if they got too far off to the edge, the whole thing would tip. And it was like that all the way around. If they stood too far backwards, it fell backwards. So what I'm doing is I'm taking, this is my top, which is not a very big top, but they're small people, so I understand that. And what I want my legs to do is be the same width at the top as the top they're standing on, and I want them to flare out at an angle. So, and that way, that'll give me some stability this way, and the top's not going to overhang, so it's going to tip back and forth either. So that's the plan. Basically what I've done, I have 2 different widths here. What have I done? What have I done? That's the top. I marked that to cut. It's actually this one. What I've done is I've measured in my case, it's going to be 5/8 inches on either side. And I'm just going to bring that down at an angle. And that's going to be good enough once I actually mark the right piece. Okay, so once I have that marked out, I just take my least favorite tool in the shop, as you've heard me say before, my Pittsburgh brand Harbor Freight angle finder. I don't have a problem with it, except that you got to get a pair of pliers to tighten this thing up, otherwise it's going to move on you. Anyway, I told you all that so I could tell you this. I have no light over here. We're going to do it on this side. Maybe. I'm just going to line this up and find the angle. Oh, I like doing it on that side. Do it this way. That ain't going nowhere. It totally is. So obviously you can see that I'm sitting there talking away, and apparently the microphone decided that it wanted to quit working. But what I'm doing here is explaining that once you get my least favorite tool in the shop adjusted to the right angle, then you put that on your miter sled or your miter gauge, the slidey part, and you line that up so it's straight with the blade or however your angle is going to be, and then you lock down the miter gauge like I'm doing right there. So it's as easy as that, except you can see that I'm still fighting it because I want it to be perfect. And so we're going to lock it down. It's going to be in place, and I'm making sure. And it adamantly expressing that it's going to be perfect. It looks right. It seems right. It must be right. See, even I said that. So I'm going to get a piece of wood. I'm going to just double check it. And yep, that looks right. Looks like the right angle. All I'm going to do is cut that, and it's going to be correct. But as you're going to see in a minute, I could very well be wrong. All right, so I told you guys I'd always tell you when I mess up. Boy, did I mess up. I couldn't figure out why my sides seemed so tall. It didn't make any sense to me. I did not design this to be that tall. I designed it to be tall, but not that tall. Well, it's because I was cutting them the wrong direction. And so now they're actually going to be a smidgen shorter than what I wanted them to be, but that's okay because the kids grow. That'll be fine. I didn't notice it till I was ready to start doing the roundovers in the router table there, and I kept saying, this doesn't look right, doesn't look right. When I held my top up to it, that's when I picked it up. So now everything should be the way it's supposed to be. And I can move on. I'm just going to do a roundover on all of these, and we can start sanding and assembly. Okay, so what you saw there was basically a design change on the fly. I didn't want my sides to have just a solid base. I wanted it to be cut out a little bit. So it ain't perfect, but you know what? It's good enough. You know how I feel about that. So now I just got to do a round over on all pieces, except for this piece. That's where it's going to be glued in. So I get that knocked out and we're ready to start sanding. Oh, sanding. Yay. Earplugs, folks. Earplugs. Stuff's loud. Okay, now I'm down to sanding, and I know nobody wants to watch that, so I'll just go ahead and get this sanded up, and I'll bring you back in when we're ready for our next step. Okay, as I said, this is going to get glued and screwed. But before I just start slamming screws into this, I got to get them drilled out because I'm close to the edge, and I don't want to split nothing at this point. So here, I'm drill a hole. Right into my tabletop. That's okay. I ain't worried about it. And I'm putting one right in the middle because I got a cross piece going there to sure things up. Boom. Now all I got to do is find a way for this to magically stay together. Where's my other leg? Oh, here it is. Magically stay together while I drill this into the legs. Yeah, don't do that now. You'd think maybe a clamp would be in order here, but oh, timber! Wow, something is unhappy. Here's what I'm learning, folks, about this project. Two things. One, I'm against the clock because I always am. I got something to do this evening. And two, it's a Sunday and I'm whooped. Okay. It was a long night last night, 2 services today. Well, I'm not complaining, but it's just I'm tired and I'm trying to do this when I'm tired and I got to slow down and think because I'm going to end up messing this up. And then I hate these clamps. And then my grandchild elevation system won't work. So we're going to try busting a little clamp in here. Just to kind of hold it together a little bit. Golly, I didn't even twist that and it's all of a sudden turbo clamped. Too much. Oh, I kind of like it right there. Okay. Now, that ain't going nowhere, as they always say. So I'll drill these two. Then I'll drill these on this side and get it partially put together with glue and screws. I can glue my cross piece in. It'll all work out. You would think a guy would go ahead and do this side too, huh? Okay. Now I can glue this and get this part screwed together. And put my, where's glue? Where's glue? You guys see the glue? Where's glue? Found it. There we go. I ain't killing it on this now. Because you know it's all going to come out the sides. There's a fly flying around my head. And we don't want that. We don't want it coming out around the sides. Didn't really think about the screws though, did you? Nope, not even a little bit. Oh, I broke my own rule. Remember the rule I told you guys? Oh no, I didn't either. It's still in the... Okay. Couldn't find a bit for these screws. Guess what? It's still in the drawer. Mistake already. I didn't do anything to countersink these. Okay, it's all together. I am going to have to put a little bit more sanding to it. Apparently I got junk all over my bench top. And can you hear that? I got to fix that. Which is kind of bizarre because I cut the legs out. I double-sided taped them together so to make sure that they were both exactly the same. Apparently it didn't get the memo. So that's okay. A little bit of sanding on that. That'll be fine. If you run into that, if you don't know how to take care of that, don't try to do all four legs. Pick one corner of one leg opposite the wobble. So in my case, it is wobbling on this leg and this leg. These two legs are touching. So I'm going to pick one of those two legs. It's going to be this one. And I'm just going to sand down on that until my wobble goes away. Not a big deal. So I'm going to get sanding on this, get this finished up. Upon further review, I was going to cap these screw holes with oak, but it's going to get abused and beat up, and it's a kitchen stool is what it is, because I know my wife's going to use it too, so she can get up in the top cabinet. Just saying. So let me get this all taken care of. I'll throw some finish on it, and I'll bring you back in when it's back in the kitchen. Okay, so here it is in its completed form. If I'm being honest, I had one more coat of urethane I have to put on this, but I ran out of time. So it does have one coat on it. As I said, I was not going to fill. I changed my mind on covering these up. The original plan was to sink these lower, put in some oak plugs, saw them off, sand them, make them look nice. But then I thought, who's going to be using this? The grandkids. And probably my wife too, because she's short. Anyway, it's in the kitchen. It's going to get beat up. But as you know, I can't let anybody stand on this till I give it the Pastor Fred test, because I tipped the scales, remember? So let's see how it works. The cabinet that is the most notorious for trying to get into is the one above the fridge. Let's see. Huh. I've been looking for them. Yeah, that's why you need to build a stool, folks. Hey, thanks for hanging out for a while. I do appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one. God bless.